Hey guys, another episode of Trainer Confidential. Today we got some questions. One of them's from my cousin Nicole, so I wanted to get those answered for her, and she's got some from one of her friends, so she'll be asking those. So anyway, what we're gonna do today? How you doing, Donnie?
How bad, man? How you guys doing?
Good. You had a long night tonight.
Yeah, I did.
Is
Yeah, I did.
this gonna be an ongoing thing or that time?
It's just peaks and valleys,
Yeah, yeah.
highs and lows. It'll be here for a while though,
But you
especially
love it
during the
though,
holiday
anyway.
season.
Yeah, yeah. You're right. You're right. All the way until about spring, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, so I'll start off with from some questions. Let me see here. I'll look at them here. Okay, so the first one is ways to keep the thirst down. So she has a problem with being too thirsty. Um, well, I mean, one question I would have is how much water is she drinking a day? Uh, stuff like what do you think? If she
And
was
does she have a low thirst drive or she has a high thirst drive
yeah,
Hi.
she's super thirsty.
all the time?
Yeah.
Great.
And also it would depend on how what's the correlation between drinking and the urinating? Is she urinating a lot, or
That's a good question.
That's a good question.
so I drink a lot and I pee a lot,
Yeah.
so
Right.
and so that kind of keeps it going and stuff. But if because in some cases that can be a sign of maybe a medical issue.
It could be. Yeah,
Actually,
you're right.
it's one of the signs of diabetes. If you have an insatiable thirst and you have it all the time.
Really?
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. So
Huh.
but I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything like
Yeah.
that. But it could be it could be she's got a high thirst. Basically, is drink more, and then it's going to depend on what she's drinking too.
Mhm.
Okay, she probably needs to drink something to hydrate herself. Because
Mhm.
the thing about it is this: if you're drinking just a lot of water, you're actually going to dehydrate yourself,
That's
and
right.
you follow that pattern of drinking constantly and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would need to know what's her electrolyte.
Yeah. That was my thought too. Like how much salt she taking in, put potassium and all that kind of
Magnesium
stuff.
and calcium and all,
Magnesium. Yeah.
yeah, the whole spectrum and stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't know if this person's taking electrolytes. you know you would probably want to check that out and stuff. But
Mhm.
if you have an insatiable thirst and you're drinking all the time, then that's something you probably want to have checked out too and stuff.
And how much water should a female have during the day if she's active and
Well, I mean, it's all scalable. You know what I mean? There's some women that drink more than guys do and stuff. But me personally speaking, I like to be right around about a gallon. And the thing about it is, I mean, especially for your kidneys, because your kidneys are their filtration organs is what they do.
Mhm.
And in order to filtrate,
Kind of
properly,
water.
you got to have water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So and especially with us with higher protein diets, you
Yeah.
want to make sure that your kidneys have plenty of water, to filtrate. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, myself, I drink probably about a gallon and a half a day. Maybe actually a little more than that. But yeah, I pee constantly. I mean, it's irritating at night because I pee all night long. It
yeah,
seems like.
and one of the symptoms of knowing that you're dehydrated, if your urine is very dark, then
Yeah.
that's telling you that you're dehydrated and you need to drink
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
So that's a
I wonder if she's holding water. You know what I mean? Because that'd be kind of a sign for a medical issue too. If she was holding all that water, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, if she's holding one and she's not expelling it, then there could be some kidney issues, or,
Yeah.
So, but she has an insatiable thirst. But as long as she's peeing and it's clear,
Mhm.
she's not dehydrated, then I would say just drink water to match your thirst levels.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to ask her the specifics on that one a little later. Another one of her questions is foods that help her heal muscles. That's a good one. Well, protein,
But yeah, I mean,
protein and
that's
carbohydrates.
basically what muscles are. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
and so yeah, if you're breaking down your tissues, then you're gonna need a protein to not only to sustain the tissue that you have, but you got to repair it. And then if you're looking to add muscle on, then you got to take in more protein and stuff.
A little bit more, yeah.
You know,
What
it,
would
it
you say? What would you say for a female? Their macros should be if they're trying to lose fat, get fit, and all that. I mean, it all obviously depends on their weight. Uh, I mean, I
right.
guess what would you say per pound of body weight they would need in
So,
protein?
so what I'm thinking is if you got if you have a young lady or a lady in general, and she's trying to lose weight, then more than likely she doesn't have a fast metabolism. So we can kind of x that stuff out and stuff.
Hmm.
So now it's more than likely she's probably more endomorphic, okay? And so you would go through the endomorphic playbook, and that endomorphic playbook is the same for women and men. You know,
Hmm.
and so basically, the macros more than likely yeah, more than likely they're probably carb sensitive. I would go lower on the carbs, and maybe up the fats a little bit and stuff, because like I said, they're carb sensitive, so they probably have a little bit of insulin resistance going on.
Hmm.
So, but I that's what I would do. I would do, find out what they're just based on the calorie count that they have. I would probably go, depending on how active she is, um, probably no more than 100 grams of carbs, in a day, depending on how active she is. If she's very, very, very active, I'd go with that. If she's not as active, I'd definitely go under 100. May not go under 50, but I'd probably go under 100. You know,
Hmm.
and these folks, they tend to, and I know because I'm one of them. They tend to do pretty well on a lower carbohydrate diet. And what I mean by is not so much in terms of in general, but not primarily the starches.
Hmm.
You I would still have them keep in, the fruit, the fiber can slow down the absorption of the carbohydrates, the sugars and stuff in, but none of the breads and pastas and rice and stuff like that.
Okay.
So that's how I would pretty much do it, and then just etch up their activity as they start hitting plateaus and stuff, so people can pick up the activity and stuff, especially like on cardio, and just go from there.
Yeah, yeah. So when it comes to the carbs for a carb sensitive person, what kind of carbs should they be taking in? I mean, as far as like slow digested carbs like yams
So
or quick like rice, or I mean, what would you suggest on that?
right. So basically, what you have here is you have the glycemic index is not really based on. It's not really based on how sweet a food is. It's based on how fast it gets absorbed into
Hmm.
the system. And the faster it gets absorbed, then the higher the glycemic value is. That's why like white bread is right at 100. You have a scale from 0 to like 150 or something like that. White bread is like 100, and white
Hmm.
bread's not even sweet. You know,
Yeah.
it's not sweet. It has no fiber in it. To speak of, and it's very starchy, no fiber. And so it's going to absorb very, very, very quickly into the body. And then what happens is the blood sugar spikes. The body sees that, says this is not good. Okay, we need to deploy some insulin. We deploy insulin, and it brings it back down.
Hmm.
That's basically how it works. So what we want to do is you want to have foods. Two things slow down the absorption of this process: fat and fiber. Like if you take that same piece of white bread, and let's say you put some peanut butter on it.
Peanut butter.
The fat from the peanut butter is going to slow that process down. That
Hmm.
food is not going to get absorbed as fast, and you're not going to get an insulin spike. You can take some butter and put on that toast, okay, and get the same effect, okay.
Hmm.
Or you just get rid of the toast altogether and get something that's got a lot more fiber in it.
Mhm.
you know, and it'll do the same thing. All you want to do is you just want to get foods that have fat and fiber, because that slows that process down.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with how sweet a food is. It has everything to do with how fast that food gets absorbed into the system.
And is that why like a lot of the keto diet and stuff is kind of higher fat and lower carb for that? Is that
Right,
the
right, right.
reason
Yeah,
for that?
you fat and fiber is for the most part is a person's best friend, except for when we're getting ready to load up. When we
Yeah.
carb loading, we don't want fat and
No
fiber.
fat.
We don't want fat and fiber. It slows it down. That's why I say
Yeah.
get that stuff away from us and stuff. We
Yeah,
need
yeah.
that fast acting stuff. But yeah, and so basically, I mean, just fruits. And the thing about it is like, you have you don't want like bananas are very high glycemic. They the meat in oranges, are high glycemic and stuff. Apples are pretty good. They're high in fiber, but the thing about it is this,
Hmm.
peeled apples, the peeling is where all the fiber is.
Yeah.
So if you peel the apple and eat it, you might as well be drinking apple juice.
All right. All
You
right.
see what I'm saying? Because you
Yeah.
don't have the fiber to slow it down, because you just peeled it away, and now you're just eating the meat of the apple, and that's just basically sugar. Okay,
Huh, okay.
you don't have the fiber to slow down the process of having it absorbed into your system, which spikes the insulin.
Well, that's important to know.
Yeah,
Geez, I
Right.
bet, I didn't know that
I
myself,
didn't know
so
that.
that's cool.
Yeah, and yeah, I would say, very state, very limit the starches like rice and pasta and all that other stuff,
Mhm.
and you can go with proteins, vegetables, but then again, they've got lots of starch like substitutes that have a lot of fiber in them. Like I do the Fran's keto bread. It's like 11 grams of fiber per slice. And I seem to be doing great with it and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and I mean, you've been low carb since your show, and
Yeah,
you're doing
yeah, I
fine.
mean, there was a while I was keto for about 6 years.
Oh, were you really?
Wow.
Yeah, my carbs very, very, very well rarely went over 20 grams. There was
Wow,
lots of
okay.
Wow.
times it was just like 10 grams, or and there were times where I just go zero carbs and stuff. Being an endomorph, that worked for me.
Mhm.
It really worked for me and stuff.
Man,
So
I don't even think I could get away with that at all.
But
My
but but but
body.
and like I said, so women wanting to lose weight, and they're thinking about the macro. The only macro they really need to be thinking about, and I know a lot of them will probably tend to want to say, well, it's the fat. Everybody's talking about the fat being the
Yeah,
enemy.
yeah,
Whereas actually, that's probably one of their best friends and stuff.
yeah.
They're insulin sensitive. And what they need to slow down is not to have anything really, really, really sweet. You just want to have the stuff that's absorbed very quickly, and it just forces your body to release insulin.
Mhm.
And that's what they want to avoid.
Yeah, you're right about that. A lot of people, that's what they assume it's the fats. It's the fats and
True.
that get you fat. So, which essentially, I guess it is long term, but splitting up like that, yeah. So, okay, so I got one more question from her. Muscle cramps. Well, two more questions. Muscle
Okay.
cramps. That I mean, that says potassium to me right there. And I mean, if she's drinking a lot of water, muscle cramps kind of seems like her electrolyte. She's got a problem with
Right.
electrolytes, right?
Right off the bat, I would say an electrolyte imbalance. I tend to not want to just focus on one particular electrolyte. It's basically that the whole spectrum is probably out of balance.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And so I would probably not say to take just one particular electrolyte. I would probably I would have them take the whole spectrum. To kind of get in balance. And then that would help out quite a bit and stuff, especially with the cramping and stuff.
So with her first question, that makes sense with those two questions. It kind of screams out electrolyte problem. So, right?
Probably, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
mean,
what I'm thinking.
so Pedialyte's really good for that, right?
Pedialyte is good. Pedialyte is
Yeah.
good. The only thing I try to avoid stuff that has a lot of calories in it.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Sports drinks are pretty good too. Powerade Zero, Gatorade Zero. You
Yeah.
got Noon Tabs. You know, I'm really big into the Noon Tabs because you can really concentrate it. You know, so those are some things that you can actually do to kind of keep that get that homeostasis in the electrolytes, with the
Mhm.
electrolytes back in check and stuff.
Well,
So
cool. I think with those two questions, we kind of answered hers actually, because she might not have known that, but that kind of sounds like she's low on electrolytes. Okay, so her last question is tasty fat melting dinners.
so what now?
Tasty fat melting dinners. You got any good dinner ideas
That melt fat.
that will get her fit? In other words,
That will melt fat, huh?
yeah.
Right.
So what comes to mind for me is although she's carb sensitive, it wouldn't work. But I used to make that shepherd's pie, and it was yams and lean ground beef, and it was some other ingredients in it. But
Yeah, that was a good one.
it was super good,
It was-
but loaded with carbs, and that was for bulking and stuff.
Right,
But it
right.
was really good. I mean, let's just really talk real quick about bodybuilding food. What do we eat? And really what we eat is going to be the same as a person trying to lose weight for the most part. So
Yeah, and it depends on the phase that you're in too. I mean,
Right.
basically, I mean, it's a pretty it's kind of universal, and it really hasn't. It's changed some, you know. It hasn't changed a heck of a lot over the decades and stuff. You know, I mean, you know, to nowadays, I mean, on the off season, I tend to do rice, pasta, and potatoes. You know, but the thing about it is, I'm doing like a cup of meal. You know, I'm still measuring stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I think that's something that they have to that's got to be considered too. Is that you know, it's really a lot about like the amount of food for the most part and stuff, and not really so much the type of food. You know, you just can't say, well, I'm having potatoes and I'm having this. I mean, it's actually X amount of potatoes and it's X amount of this.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
You know, and that's because people ask me just, so what are you eating now, Diane? I'm like, well, I've got 10 ounces of chicken
Yeah.
breast. I've got a cup of pasta. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
that's
I
what
got
I say too. And ask, what do you
pasta.
got there? That's how I
You know,
explain
yeah.
it.
So that's basically what I say. And so I would say that would have to be taken into consideration too. The overall calories, you can't overlook that. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you take a look at the macros, but to me, first and foremost comes that calorie count. How much do you need to be taking in based on you know your metabolic makeup, based on what your job is, based on what your training is, and you taking those things and based on how fast or how slow you want to drop, either like a pound a week, a pound and a half a week, 2 pounds a week, 3 pounds per week, and so all that stuff comes together. You have to get all those, and you come up with a calorie count, and you start that first week, and if it's working for you, then you can stay with it until at some point in time you're going to hit a plateau. And what I like to do at that point is just increase the activity levels.
Yeah.
I can tell you right, and most women, that come across my office and stuff, and I do a nutrition. There's an average. It's right somewhere between like 11 and 1300.
Oh, really? Calories?
It's somewhere in that ballpark is
Yeah.
where it
About
is.
right. Yeah.
I'm talking about for the Gen Pop female. I'm not talking about for the athlete now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The athlete, I've got a client now, Linda, Kopetsky,
So yeah, she's on. What's she on?
and she gets right around about 1400, 1500.
Okay.
That makes sense.
1500,
Yeah.
somewhere in there, and sometimes it spikes a little bit higher than that. She's a bikini competitor, and she's at a very high level. She's at a national level and stuff, and that's basically where she is. But Gen Pop females are somewhere between 11 and 1300.
That makes
Okay.
sense.
It's
Yeah.
just me doing that over the years, and seeing it over and over and over again. And that's pretty much where it is. Now you take that 11 to 1300, depending on how active they are, and then we break that down to the macronutrients. And I tend to want to go with I tend to like 40 30 30s, 40 protein, 30 carbs, 30 fats. You know, not unless I have somebody that's really got a pretty fast metabolism. You got females that want to put on weight, you know, and so
Right.
they're trying to put weight on. Then it's a little different. You know, I'll use a little different breakdown. Sometimes I'll go with a 40 40 20, 40 protein, 40 carbs, 20 fat, you know. So because they need that, they want that absorption, so the fat's down a little bit and stuff, you know. A lot of people don't help, you know, if you really want to try to put some size on, sometimes you got to kind of remove the fat a little bit to allow that insulin response to kick in the way it should be kicking in and stuff.
Yeah, you do. Yeah. So I mean, real quick, I just you know, for Nicole, the foods we eat, you know, well, when I'm in prep, it changes from what I eat, obviously, when I'm in off
Right.
season. But I'm eating chicken breast, I'm eating lean ground turkey. I'm eating tuna and or cod. Shrimp is another one that I'll eat. That's and I can get away with the lean beef because I also have lean beef on my meal. Well, I eat lean beef every day,
Right.
ground beef.
Yeah, it's not a huge difference from because with me, you know, I mean, so I for my breakfast, if I were to train, if I was to flip it to a prep food, I would take out the potatoes, take out the turkey sausage patties, and that leaves me with a cup of egg whites and 3 whole eggs, and I'll add another cup of egg whites.
Mm.
Boom, that's my prep breakfast right there.
Jeez.
You know, that's it. You know, and the
Man.
meal number 2 is basically I'm doing chicken and pasta right now. I would keep the chicken in chicken. I would change that pasta to rice, okay, and then I would add broccoli. You know, and then on my final solid meal, I would take out the 7% lean turkey, and I replace that with tilapia and rice and broccoli. You know, I just take
Okay.
out the pasta, take out the potatoes, leave the rice in, and take out the ground turkey breast. I mean, not ground turkey 7%, and replace it with tilapia. Eat my shakes in, and boom, there I am, right there.
Are you still on the off season? Do you eat chicken breast or you go to like thighs and drumsticks
No,
and
I still go to I do the chicken breast because the thing about it is this. I'm trying to get within those 5 planned meals. I want to get all of the fuel that I need to do what I need to do. Okay.
yeah.
And then those other 2 meals, you know, 1 to 2 meals, I can completely cut loose. I can completely go without any protein. It doesn't matter at this point because I've
You
already
already
met my requirements and stuff. I've already
already
got my,
got it.
you
Yeah.
see, you know. But typically, I don't do that. I kind of did it this weekend. I went to my
Well, yeah.
I went I went to Di's my in-laws house and stuff, you know. So yeah, it I didn't go too far off the tangent, but yeah, it was enough to where it was like weird, you know what I mean? Having some
Yeah.
strange here, you know, I mean, getting away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Traveling
yeah.
traveling in the off season can happen like that, it seems like.
In the holiday season, this is one of the things we got to talk about is maybe trying to keep it together during the holiday season.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because
It's
we got
about to hit right.
Thanksgiving around the corner here.
It's already hitting and stuff. You know, you got those office parties and stuff, you know, and they're always bringing stuff in. Office is probably one of the worst places to be, you know, during the holiday season.
Yeah.
Because everybody's bringing something.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Probably really good though.
Oh, it's good. Oh, it's delicious.
Sure.
So I mean, should a person you know, should they just kind of on that day just give in? Should they cut out a couple things? I mean,
So here's the deal. I mean, if I've got some clients now, like this, I got this one client, man. His name is Donnie, by the way, and stuff. He has been nailing it. You know what I mean? You know, and I've been with him for probably about 7, 8 weeks and stuff. And he's just been in the grind. He's been doing it. You know, he's made some great gains. He's down 2 sizes. I'm like,
wow.
Donnie, you know, Thanksgiving, dude.
That's
Just
impressive.
yeah. enjoy yourself, man.
Yeah.
And don't eat half the doggone town, but enjoy yourself,
Yeah.
well deserved and stuff,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and I let it down, and then we're back in the grind the very next day, So
Yep.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But but you got people that are already kind of like they're like in trouble,
Yeah.
they've been having some issues and stuff, I mean, yeah, you may want to try to get those issues squared up
Right.
and stuff, and not try to go on a tangent. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's not like you've been on point. For
Yeah.
most of the year.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Well, that wraps up Nicole's questions, and she's got some questions from one of her friends.
Okay, sweet. Fire away.
Okay, so they're wondering, how do you eat when you're not hungry?
Oh boy, I tell you, that's
a big one.
Is somebody trying to gain weight?
We know all about that one. I know I
those
do.
those are the only people that really have that kind of problem.
Generally, yeah.
Eating when you're not hungry.
It is. You just have to stick to that schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to view eating a little bit differently. I mean.
Yep.
Most of us, basically we actually look forward to eat. Eating is fun when you're hungry.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? It's fun when you're hungry. It sounds like sex is fun when you're horny. You know what I mean? But
Right.
you gotta find a reason.
Yeah.
And so basically, I take more of a business approach. This is just something I have to do. It's like taking medication. Medication it's just something that you have to do.
Yep.
And sometimes what they may have to do is they may have to break their meals down to smaller meals.
Mhm.
In order to just get it in. Or sometimes I've had to do that. I'll eat like half, and then I'll eat the other half a little later or something like that. It's hopefully it's just more than hopefully it's just like one, maybe two meals where they have to actually do this.
How much later though?
What do you mean?
How much later do you eat? So you said you eat a little bit and then you eat a little bit later.
So
How much later do you eat?
typically with me, I can it's me. I can whack food pretty good. You know what I mean? You give me if you give me like a half a pizza, 10 minutes is all I'm gonna need. 10 minutes is all I'm gonna need. But the thing about is with a situation like this, something that would typically take me about 5 minutes to eat, I'm probably gonna do in about 15, maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's about the same with me.
You know what I mean?
It's about the same with me, yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes you just gotta take it like bites at a time, and just keep it in. But the thing about it is your body eventually will adapt to it.
It does, yeah.
Sure. Okay.
It will adapt to it, and so it's just something you just got to be consistent with, and you have to be a bit more, you have to be innovative about it too and stuff, but my deal is I just changed my mindset. I know it's just something I have to do. It's almost like I'm taking medicine and stuff, and I know I got to take this at this amount of time because I got to think about the benefits.
Yep.
So you
3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. Time to eat.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to come up with that reason.
Yeah.
You got to give yourself that reason to have the incentive to do it.
Yeah.
Because it can be torture eating when you're not hungry. I mean,
it's
taken me years to be able to actually eat
but a lot of people. Well, a lot of people. There are some people that do eat when they're not hungry. I mean,
yes, for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, but they just like wow, I just got finished eating and stuff, and I'm eating now. It's just, and I don't know what that's all about. I'm not even hungry, and I'm just eating. You got those stress eaters and stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, they're not necessarily hungry. They're just stressed.
Right.
Yeah.
So they're eating.
Stress eating.
They're not physically wanting food. They're just eating because of the stress. It's just
It's like a person would smoke or drink or anything like that. Yeah.
Right.
Just a crutch at that point.
Yep.
So given that I'm assuming that person probably doesn't eat 5 meals a day, which if you didn't, it would be hard to just jump right into eating 5 meals a day. But but you're right. I mean, if you start getting into that, and if this is the case, then just keep on eating small meals throughout the day, 5 meal, about every 3.5 hours, and you'll get adjusted to it. I know with me, my trick is I just swallow it down with water. I take a couple bites, chew it up, swallow it down with water.
Yeah, and
So
it works
one,
for you. Yeah, yeah.
I'm getting my water in every time, and a lot of water, and it gets down quick because I got, with my work, I got to eat quick. I got, 10 minutes, I got to be back at work.
Yeah, you see,
And
you hit two birds with one stone with that.
yeah, so that's kind of how I do it. It's backfired a lot in the past. So I had to switch from tilapia because I would eat all my food, puke it up, and then I get pissed at myself, and now I got to eat another meal, and that would just happen way too many times. Especially it was with tilapia for whatever reason. So the meals that I'll choose if I'm like that will definitely be something that's why I like cod, because it gets it gets really small, the fibers in it, and it's quick, and you can swallow it down.
Quick.
Something like
Okay.
eating a steak, harder to do, right? I mean, you got to really do some chewing to get that thing down, or it's going to gag
Yeah.
you and choke you. So for me, those foods, I know the foods not to eat while I'm hungry, or why I'm not hungry, and stuff like that. So, oh, you got another one?
I got a couple more. We got 10 minutes left, but I'm gonna ask
Sure.
as many as I can. So there's one that I have. So how do you eat when you're not feeling well?
Ooh, that's a good question. When you're sick
So
or something like that.
Right,
yeah, you're not gonna you're just not gonna have very much of an appetite,
right.
and in some ways, it's in some ways it's like your body it has all of its resources
Tied up.
into fighting whatever it's
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah.
Right.
Whether you've been in an accident and you're like recovering, or you're just sick or something like that. It's a survival mechanism, and what's happening is it's saying, I just don't want to get all the resources into digesting food and processing the food and the breakdown and all that stuff, because that takes calories
Yeah, it does.
to get
Yeah.
that done. And that when people, like, when they get in a more recovered state, first thing they say, well, I'm hungry. you know Initially, your body just cuts that off initially, because it's like, we need all of our resources in fighting whatever the heck this is.
Yeah.
And then once we feel it's under control, then bring the appetite back, and then we can start processing food, because we need those resources to help fight it also. But the body is a very it's a very it's a fascinating survival mechanism. That's first and foremost. That's what it's going to do. And so, yeah, that's just pretty much that in the gist when you're sick. And nobody really has an appetite when they're sick.
And when you're sick anyway, you're not putting out any calorie. You're not going out and doing a bunch of stuff anyway. You're sitting on the couch. You're trying to get better. So it's not like you don't need all
Well,
those
yeah,
calories at that
yeah.
point.
On the outside, you don't look like, but on the inside, there's a lot of stuff. There's a
There's
war
a lot
going
of
on the
stuff going
inside.
on. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Well, okay. You got another one?
Okay, so as a female, when you're bloated, like when it's that time of the month,
Okay.
you don't want to eat.
I think some that, but I've been living around women. I've been married twice, and I've been living with women for years and stuff. It kind of varies. I mean,
It does. It
some
does.
people, they get cravings for some of the craziest
True.
stuff.
Yeah, you're
And
right.
then some
You're right
they
about
don't they
that.
don't they don't get an appetite. I've never heard that one though.
Oh,
I've
really?
never heard that losing their appetite. I know that certain cravings come around.
Do you
And
think they might be losing their appetite because they think they don't look good at the moment because they're bloated,
Could be,
or
yeah. Because
and then
they
they're
feel
just like,
like
I don't want food.
they're big or whatever they feel like. So they don't want to eat at the time, whatever it is. So maybe it's a subconscious thing.
I can kind of see that. It varies from person to person. I mean, it's that's kind of. But I've never really heard that one. I hear
Let me
women talk
see.
about cravings.
Yes, cravings are a big thing. Yeah.
Sugar and salt for some,
Yeah.
just stuff
Yeah.
like crackers and I knew my ex, she was like that. It was just the
Chocolate.
saltine crackers and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Interesting.
I mean, you know, I'm like, oh goodness gracious, girl, what's going on? And
I could see that.
Yeah, that's you know, that
It's about
was
what I crave. So,
you know, but yeah, I hear cravings, but I don't hear not having an appetite. I've never really heard that one, but you know,
You'll have
but
to get down to the
look,
bottom of that.
you know, you're never too old to learn. So
we probably have time for one more question.
Okay, so let's see. So somebody asked how to cut fat, but chicken breast sucks. So if you don't like chicken
don't
breast,
like chicken breast.
You know, and the beauty, the thing about chicken breast is you got to cook it just right.
You do.
There's nothing
Yeah,
worse
I
than
agree.
dry chicken breast.
Yeah.
So
cook it correct.
So what I tend to do, because I cook a lot of chicken breasts, you know, and I get raw chicken does not work for me and stuff. If it's lightly raw and undercooked and stuff, it just runs through me and stuff. So what I do is what I tend to do is I tend to grind my chicken up. Once I cook it, I grind it up. You know, then I mix my rice with it. You know what I mean? So it's almost like ground beef and rice.
Really?
Yeah, and so I'll grind it up, and then I'll put my rice in there, and I'll mix it up, and then it gets all nice and moist. It stays moist that way.
How do you grind it up? Do you put it in a blender?
Yep, put it in a blender.
Really?
Yep, put it in a blender, grind it up.
Interesting.
You've told me that before. That's how you prep your chicken. I got to try that one of these times because it's a great idea.
Yeah, you know, I'll have you check some out and stuff.
Yeah.
I like it.
So you cook it first and then you grind it up?
First. No, I cook it first.
Do you cook it after you grind it?
I got this big grill. I just cook it all up
at that point.
And I'll make sure it's all well done. It's well done.
Yeah.
You know, and then I put in like little containers, and then in like 50-ounce containers, 50 ounces. And then what'll happen is I'll thaw some out, you know, I'll put in the blender and just blend it up and stuff, and it'll be in a little container. And it's easy to measure because about 2 handfuls, about 10 ounces, you know, and then I put my rice in there and stuff, you know, and then I just heat it up, you know, when I get to work. And
interesting. That'd be easier to eat too.
Yeah, it is. It is.
All right. Hope we answered all the questions. I guess we'll find out.
Chicken sucks.
Chicken does suck.
It can.
On a quick note, I chicken breast during prep, chicken thighs or drumsticks during off season for me.
Right.
The way it's something different. I don't care about the fat. Oh, and olive oil is your friend. It's a good fat. You gotta figure it into your macros.
It's an omega. It's an omega-6.
Yeah.
Omega-3s are fats and stuff, but you know, but they're omega-6, and they've got a lot of healthy properties to them. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, we about ready to run out of time. So anyway, thanks for watching. You guys got any more comments and questions? We love questions, so that's why we're here. Hit us up, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, man.